Friendship is always a sweet responsibility, never an opportunity. Faith is an oasis in the heart which will never be reached by the caravan of thinking. Forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet and the winds long to play with your hair. We choose our joys and sorrows long before we experience them. Love, it surrounds every being and extends slowly to embrace all that shall be. And ever has it been known that love knows not its own depth until the hour of separation. Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls, the most massive characters are seared with scars. To understand the heart and mind of a person, look not at what he has already achieved, but at what he aspires to. In the sweetness of friendship let there be laughter, and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love, let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. If you love somebody, let them go, for if they return, they were always yours. And if they don't, they never were. Yesterday is but today's memory, and tomorrow is today's dream. I have learned silence from the talkative, toleration from the intolerant, and kindness from the unkind, yet, strange, I am ungrateful to those teachers. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you but not from you, and though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts. For they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. Love possesses not nor will it be possessed, for love is sufficient unto love. Your living is determined not so much by what life brings to you as by the attitude you bring to life, not so much by what happens to you as by the way your mind looks at what happens. I love you when you bow in your mosque, kneel in your temple, pray in your church. For you and I are sons of one religion, and it is the Spirit. If your heart is a volcano, how shall you expect flowers to bloom? Trust in dreams, for in them is hidden the gate to eternity. Ever has it been that love knows not its own depth until the hour of separation. Advance, and never halt, for advancing is perfection. Advance and do not fear the thorns in the path, for they draw only corrupt blood. When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep. And when his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you. A friend who is far away is sometimes much nearer than one who is at hand. Is not the mountain far more awe-inspiring, more clearly visible to one passing through the valley than to those who inhabit the mountain? Faith is a knowledge within the heart, beyond the reach of proof. If the other person injures you, you may forget the injury, but if you injure him you will always remember. March on. Do not tarry. To go forward is to move toward perfection. March on, and fear not the thorns, or the sharp stones on life's path. Where is the justice of political power if it executes the murderer and jails the plunderer, and then itself marches upon neighboring lands, killing thousands and pillaging the very hills? Wisdom stands at the turn in the road and calls upon us publicly, but we consider it false and despise its adherents. Knowledge cultivates your seeds and does not sow in your seeds. Doubt is a pain too lonely to know that faith is his twin brother. I wash my hands of those who imagine chattering to be knowledge, silence to be ignorance, and affection to be art. Keep me away from the wisdom which does not cry, the philosophy which does not laugh, and the greatness which does not bow before children. Progress lies not in enhancing what is, but in advancing toward what will be. You are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. If my survival caused another to perish, then death would be sweeter and more beloved. If you reveal your secrets to the wind, you should not blame the wind for revealing them to the trees. Generosity is giving more than you can, and pride is taking less than you need. Generosity is not giving me that which I need more than you do, but it is giving me that which you need more than I do. If you cannot work with love but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work. When you work you are a flute through whose heart the whispering of the hours turns to music. Which of you would be a reed, dumb and silent, when all else sings together in unison? Wisdom ceases to be wisdom when it becomes too proud to weep, too grave to laugh, and too selfish to seek other than itself. Life without love is like a tree without blossoms or fruit. You pray in your distress and in your need. Would that you might also pray in the fullness of your joy and in your days of abundance. Let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit. The lust for comfort, that stealthy thing that enters the house a guest, and then becomes a host, and then a master. If the grandfather of Jesus had known what was hidden within him, he would have stood humble and awestruck before his soul. Beauty is eternity gazing at itself in a mirror. Love one another, but make not a bond of love, let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone though they quiver with the same music. If in the twilight of memory we should meet once more, we shall speak again together, and you shall sing to me a deeper song. Death most resembles a prophet who is without honor in his own land, or a poet who is a stranger among his people. Coming generations will learn equality from poverty, and love from woes. The eye of a human being is a microscope, which makes the world seem bigger than it really is. When we turn to one another for counsel, we reduce the number of our enemies. Knowledge of the self is the mother of all knowledge. So it is incumbent on me to know myself, to know it completely, to know its minutiae, its characteristics, its subtleties, and its very atoms. The teacher who is indeed wise does not bid you to enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your mind. Of life's two chief prizes, beauty and truth, I found the first in a loving heart and the second in a laborer's hand. You give but little when you give of your possessions. It is when you give of yourself that you truly give. When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. What difference is there between us, save a restless dream that follows my soul but fears to come near you? And forget not that the earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair. Truth is a deep kindness that teaches us to be content in our everyday life and share with the people the same happiness. Life without liberty is like a body without spirit. For life and death are one, even as the river and the sea are one. The person you consider ignorant and insignificant is the one who came from God, that he might learn bliss from grief and knowledge from gloom. Much of your pain is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. The most pitiful among men is he who turns his dreams into silver and gold. I existed from all eternity, and, behold, I am here, and I shall exist till the end of time, for my being has no end. Art is a step from what is obvious and well known toward what is arcane and concealed. Rebellion without truth is like spring in a bleak, arid desert. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Work is love made visible. And if you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms of those who work with joy. Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. And when you have reached the mountain top, then you shall begin to climb. And when the earth shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance. The just is close to the people's heart, but the merciful is close to the heart of God. No man can reveal to you nothing but that which already lies half asleep in the dawning of your knowledge. What is this world that is hastening me toward I know not what, viewing me with contempt? Most people who ask for advice from others have already resolved to act as it pleases them. Zeal is a volcano, the peak of which the grass of indecisiveness does not grow. Exaggeration is truth that has lost its temper. Poverty is a veil that obscures the face of greatness. An appeal is a mask covering the face of tribulation. Poetry is a deal of joy and pain and wonder, with a dash of the dictionary. Many a doctrine is like a window pane. We see truth through it, but it divides us from truth. To be able to look back upon one's life in satisfaction is to live twice. Hallow the body as a temple to comeliness and sanctify the heart as a sacrifice to love. Love recompenses the adorers. They consider me to have sharp and penetrating vision because I see them through the mesh of a sieve. Time has been transformed, and we have changed. It has advanced and set us in motion. It has unveiled its face, inspiring us with bewilderment and exhilaration. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. All our words are but crumbs that fall down from the feast of the mind. Sadness is but a wall between two gardens. I prefer to be a dreamer among the humblest, with visions to be realized, than lord among those without dreams and desires. Are you a politician asking what your country can do for you, or a zealous one asking what you can do for your country? If you are the first, then you are a parasite. If the second, then you are an oasis in the desert. A little knowledge that acts is worth infinitely more than much knowledge that is idle. Your daily life is your temple and your religion. When you enter into it, take with you your all. Yesterday we obeyed kings and bent our necks before emperors. But today we kneel only to truth, follow only beauty, and obey only love. Nor shall derision prove powerful against those who listen to humanity or those who follow in the footsteps of divinity, for they shall live forever. Forever. Pain and foolishness lead to great bliss and complete knowledge, for eternal wisdom created nothing under the sun in vain. There are those who give with joy, and that joy is their reward. The obvious is that which is never seen until someone expresses it simply. Safeguarding the rights of others is the most noble and beautiful end of a human being. Would that I were a dry well, and that the people tossed stones into me, for that would be easier than to be a spring of flowing water that the thirsty pass by, and from which they avoid drinking. Love and doubt have never been on speaking terms. Say not, I have found the truth, but rather, I have found a truth. You have your ideology and I have mine. Would that you could meet the sun and the wind with more of your body and less of your raiment. We were a silent, hidden thought in the folds of oblivion, and we have become a voice that causes the heavens to tremble. Yesterday is but today's memory, tomorrow is today's dream. Life is indeed darkness save when there is urge, and all urge is blind save when there is knowledge, and all knowledge is vain save when there is work, and all work is empty save when there is love. Let the earth take that which is hers, for I, man, have no end. Love gives naught but itself and takes naught but from itself. Love possesses not nor would it be possessed, for love is sufficient unto love. Cast aside those who liken godliness to whimsy and who try to combine their greed for wealth with their desire for a happy afterlife. I have learned silence from the talkative, toleration from the intolerant, and kindness from the unkind, yet strange, I am ungrateful to these teachers. I have learned silence from the talkative, tolerance from the intolerant, and kindness from the unkind, yet strangely, I am ungrateful to these teachers. For what is it to die, but to stand in the sun and melt into the wind? What do the nationalists say about killers punishing murderers and thieves sentencing looters? Here I sit between my brother the mountain and my sister the sea. We three are one in loneliness, and the love that binds us together is deep and strong and strange. Knowledge cultivates your seeds and does not sow in you seeds. Joy and sorrow are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. You are blind and I am deaf and dumb, so let us touch hands and understand. When you work you fulfill a part of Earth's furthest dream, assigned to you when that dream was born. And in keeping yourself with labor you are in truth loving life, and to love life through labor is to be intimate with life's inmost secret. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? The real me is mute, it is the acquired that is talkative. The reality of the other person lies not in what he reveals to you, but what he cannot reveal to you. Therefore, if you would understand him, listen not to what he says, but rather to what he does not say. When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep, and when his wings enfold you yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pinions may wound you. When life does not find a singer to sing her heart, she produces a philosopher to speak her mind. Faith is an oasis in the heart which can never be reached by the caravan of thinking. Yes, there is nirvana. It is in leading your sheep to a green pasture, and in putting your child to sleep, and in writing the last line of your poem. You may forget the one with whom you have laughed, but never the one with whom you have wept. Beauty is not in the face, beauty is a light in the heart. Could you keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life, your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. Are you a politician asking what your country can do for you, or a zealous one asking what you can do for your country? If you are the first, then you are a parasite, if the second, then you are an oasis in the desert. The timeless in you is aware of life's timelessness, and knows that yesterday is but today's memory and tomorrow is today's dream. Oh, heart, if one should say to you that the soul perishes like the body, answer that the flower withers, but the seed remains. An exaggeration is a truth that has lost its temper. Your reason and your passion are the rudder and the sails of your seafaring soul. If either your sails or your rudder be broken, you can but toss and drift, or else be held at a standstill in mid-seas. For reason, ruling alone, is a force confining, and passion, unattended, is a flame that burns to its own destruction. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. When you are joyous, look deep into your heart and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. Why? Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They say that if one understands himself, he understands all people. But I say to you, when one loves people, he learns something about himself. And I have found both freedom and safety in my madness. Freedom of loneliness and safety from being understood. For those who understand us enslave something in us. Always you have been told that work is a curse and labor a misfortune. But I say to you that when you work you fulfill a part of earth's furthest dream, assigned to you when that dream was born, and in keeping yourself with labor you are in truth loving life. A man's true wealth is the good he does in the world. Beauty is eternity gazing at itself in a mirror. But you are eternity and you are the mirror. It is well to give when asked, but it is better to give unasked, through understanding. Once I deemed myself a poet. But when I stood before him in Bethany I knew what it was to hold an instrument with but a single string before one who commands all instruments. In the sweetness of friendship let there be laughter, and sharing of pleasures. In one drop of water are found all the secrets of all the oceans. If you reveal your secrets to the wind you should not blame the wind for revealing them to the trees. The life of a flower is longing and fulfillment, a tear and a smile. The chemist who can extract from his heart's elements, compassion, respect, longing, patience, regret, surprise, and forgiveness and compound them into one can create that atom which is called love. You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Only those beneath me can envy or hate me. I have never been envied nor hated, I am above no one. Only those above me can praise or belittle me. I have never been praised nor belittled, I am below no one. Only when you drink from the river of silence shall you indeed sing. Behind the veil of each night, there is a smiling dawn. A sense of humor is a sense of proportion. It was in my heart to help a little because I was helped much. That which seems most feeble and bewildered in you is the strongest and most determined. Is it not your breath that has erected and hardened the structure of your bones? Wailing and lamentation befit those who stand before the throne of life and depart without leaving in its hands a drop of the sweat of their brows or the blood of their hearts. Even while the earth sleeps we travel. Am I less man because I believe in a greater man? You hate Jesus because someone from the North Country said he was the Son of God. But you hate one another because each of you deems himself too great to be the brother of the next man. He who wears his morality but as his best garment were better naked. The wind and the sun will tear no holes in his skin. When a man's hand touches the hand of a woman, they both touch the heart of eternity. Let there be spaces in your togetherness, just as strings of a lute dance alone though they quiver with the same music. Life is but a sleep disturbed by dreaming, prompted by the will. The saddened soul with sadness hides its secrets, and the gay, with thrill. The strong grows in solitude where the weak withers away. Let your home be you mast and not your anchor. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. Tortoises can tell you more about the road than hares. What is fear of need but need itself? Your soul is oftentimes a battlefield. Upon your reason and your judgment wage war against your passion and your appetite. You are good when you walk to your goal firmly and with bold steps. Yet you are not evil when you go thither limping. For those who limp go not backwards. But you who are strong and swift, see that you do not limp before the lame, deeming it kindness. To know the pain of too much tenderness. Doubt is a pain too lonely to know that faith is his twin brother. Doubt is a foundling unhappy and astray, and though his own mother who gave him birth should find him and enfold him, he would withdraw in caution and in fear. Behold, I have reached the peak of the mountain and my spirit has taken flight in the heavens of freedom and liberation. I have gone far, far away, O children of my mother, the hills beyond the mists are now hidden from my view. The last traces of the valleys have been flooded by the ocean of serenity, and the paths and trails have been erased by the hand of oblivion. The roar of ocean waves has faded. I no longer hear anything but the anthem of eternity, which harmonizes with the spirit. If any of you would bring judgment the unfaithful wife, let him also weight the heart of her husband in scales, and measure his soul with measurements. A minute moving among the patterns of beauty and the dreams of love is greater and more precious than an age filled with splendor granted by the weak to the strong. I want every image to be the beginning of an unseen image. The only time a juggler appeals to me is when I see him miss the ball. Which of you would be silent, when all else sings together in unison? What the soul knows is often unknown to the man who has a soul. We are infinitely more than we think. O love, whose lordly hand has bridled my desires, and raised my hunger and my thirst to dignity and pride. Let not the strong in me and the constant eat the bread or drink the wine that tempt my weaker self. Let me rather starve, and let my heart parch with thirst, and let me die and perish, ere I stretch my hand to a cup you did not fill, or a bowl you did not bless. In truth we gaze but do not see, and hearken but do not hear, we eat and drink but do not taste. And there lies the difference between Jesus of Nazareth and ourselves. His senses were all continually made new, and the world to him was always a new world. He was gentle, like a man mindful of his own strength. In my dreams I beheld the kings of the earth standing in awe in his presence. I would tell you more of him, but how shall I? When love becomes vast, love becomes wordless. And when memory is overladen, it seeks the silent deep. When you have solved all the mysteries of life, you long for death, for it is but another mystery of life. Virtue tested, have I not survived hunger and thirst, suffering, and mockery for the sake of the truth which heaven has awakened in my heart? He who passes not his days in the realm of dreams is the slave of the days. Your body is the harp of the soul. The longing for paradise is paradise itself. That deed which in our guilt we today call weakness, will appear tomorrow as an essential link in the complete chain of man. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward nor tarries with yesterday. Philosophy began when man ate the produce of the earth and suffered indigestion. He who requires urging to do a noble act will never accomplish it. Wit is often a mask. If you tear it, you will find either genius irritated or cleverness juggling. I would not exchange the sorrows of my heart for the joys of the multitude. And I would not have the tears that sadness makes to flow from my every part turn into laughter. I would that my life remain a tear and a smile. The wolves prey upon the lambs in the darkness of the night, but the blood stains remain upon the stones in the valley until the dawn comes, and the sun reveals the crime to all. I have never agreed with my other self wholly. The truth of the matter seems to lie between us. Then it is also in my heart to be worthy of your hate. The fool sees naught but folly, and the madman only madness. Yesterday I asked a foolish man to count the fools among us. He laughed and said, "This is too hard a thing to do, and it will take too long. Were it not better to count only the wise?" When God created man, He gave him music as a language different from all other languages. And early man sang his glory in the wilderness, and drew the hearts of kings and moved them from their thrones. I once heard a learned man say, "Every evil has its remedy, except folly." To reprimand an obstinate fool or to preach to a dolt is like riding upon the water. Christ healed the blind, the halt, the palsied, and the leprous. But the fool He could not cure. The sea that calls all things unto her carries me, and I must embark. Passionate love is a quenchless thirst. The saint and the sinner are twin brothers, one was born but the moment before the other. He who does not prefer exile to slavery is not free by any measure of freedom, truth and duty. When you are sorrowful, look again. You are good when you are one with yourself. Yet when you are not one with yourself you are not evil. For a divided house is not a den of thieves, it is only a divided house. And a ship without rudder may wander aimlessly among perilous isles yet sink not to the bottom. If it were not for guests all houses would be graves. I am bored with gabbers and their gab, my soul abhors them. Is there any place where there is no traffic in empty talk? Is there on this earth one who does not worship himself talking? True love cannot be found where it truly does not exist, nor can it be hidden where it truly does. Anonymous love possesses not nor would it be possessed, for love is sufficient unto love. Spiritual awakening is the most essential thing in man's life, and it is the sole purpose of being. Is not civilization, in all its tragic forms, a supreme motive for spiritual awakening? The subtlest beauties in our life are unseen and unheard. Braving obstacles and hardships is nobler than retreat to tranquility. The butterfly that hovers around the lamp until it dies is more admirable than the mole that lives in a dark tunnel. He who does not see the angels and devils in the beauty and malice of life will be far removed from knowledge, and his spirit will be empty of affection. I am a poet who composes what life proses, and who proses what life composes. The soul is an embryo in the body of man, and the day of death is the day of awakening, for it is the great era of labor and the rich hour of creation. Youth is a beautiful dream, on whose brightness books shed a blinding dust. Will ever the day come when the wise link the joy of knowledge to youth's dream? Will ever the day come when nature becomes the teacher of man, humanity his book and life his school? Youth's joyous purpose cannot be fulfilled until that day comes. Too slow is our march toward spiritual elevation, because we make so little use of youth's ardor. They tell me, if you see a slave sleeping, do not wake him lest he be dreaming of freedom. I tell them, if you see a slave sleeping, wake him and explain to him freedom. Poetry is not the opinion stated. It is a song that appears instead of a bloody wound or a smiling mouth. You would measure time the measureless and the immeasurable. You would adjust your conduct and even direct the course of your spirit according to hours and seasons. Of time you would make a stream upon whose bank you would sit and watch its flowing. And is not time even as love is, undivided and paceless? I had a second birth when my soul and my body loved one another and were married. Inspiration is in seeing a part of the whole with the part of the whole in you. Where are you now, my beloved? Do you hear my weeping from beyond the ocean? Do you understand my need? Do you know the greatness of my patience? Love passes by us, robed in meekness, but we flee from her in fear, or hide in the darkness, or else pursue her, to do evil in her name. Long were the days of pain I have spent within its walls, and long were the nights of aloneness, and who can depart from his pain and his aloneness without regret? How often have you sailed in my dreams, and now you come in my awakening, which is my deeper dream. The things which the child loves remain in the domain of the heart until old age. The most beautiful thing in life is that our souls remain hovering over the places where we once enjoyed ourselves. I am one of those who remembers those places regardless of distance or time. 7 times have I despised my soul, the 6th time when she despised the ugliness of a face, and knew not that it was one of her own masks. And let today embrace the past with remembrance and the future with longing. A fox looked at his shadow at sunrise and said, "I will have a camel for lunch today." And all morning he went about looking for camels. But at noon he saw his shadow again and he said, "A mouse will do." History does not repeat itself except in the minds of those who do not know history. All these things shall love do unto you that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in that knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. When love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep. All men love you for themselves. I love you for yourself. And what word is knowledge but a shadow of wordless knowledge? If you would behold the spirit of death, open your heart wide unto the body of life. For life and death are one, even as the river and sea are one. She danced the dance of flames and fire, and the dance of swords and spears. She danced the dance of stars and the dance of space. And then she danced the dance of flowers in the wind. Happiness is a myth we seek, if manifested surely irks, like river speeding to the plain, on its arrival slows and murks. For man is happy only in his aspiration to the heights. When he attains his goal, he cools and longs for other distant flights. And is not time even as love is, undivided and paceless? But if in you thought you must measure time into seasons, let each season encircle all the other seasons. And let today embrace the past with remembrance and the future with longing. Of time you would make a stream upon whose bank you would sit and watch its flowing. Yet the timeless in you is aware of life's timelessness, and knows that yesterday is but today's memory and tomorrow is today's dream. You shall not dwell in tombs made by the dead for the living. Remember, one just man causes the devil greater affliction than 1,000,000 blind believers. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of God can contain your hearts. Your reason and your passion are your rudder and sails of your seafaring soul. If either your sails or your rudder be broken, you can but toss and drift, or else be held at a standstill in mid-seas. For reason, ruling alone, is a force confining, and passion, unattended, is a flame that burns to its own destruction. Strange that we all defend our wrongs with more vigor than we do our rights. The I in me, my friend, dwells in the house of silence, and therein it shall remain for evermore, unperceived, unapproachable. The silence of the envious is too noisy. Of the good in you I can speak, but not of the evil. For what is evil but good tortured by its own hunger and thirst? Verily when good is hungry it seeks food even in dark caves, and when it thirsts it drinks even of dead waters. You who are strong and swift, see that you do not limp before the lame, deeming it kindness. At ebb tide I wrote a line upon the sand, and gave it all my heart and all my soul. At flood tide I returned to read what I had inscribed and found my ignorance upon the shore. They say, if a man knew himself, he would know all mankind. I say, if a man loved mankind, he would know something of himself. And your fragrance shall be my breath, and together we shall rejoice through all the seasons. Your house is your larger body. It grows in the sun and sleeps in the stillness of the night, and it is not dreamless. Does not your house dream, and dreaming, leave the city for grove or hilltop? But if in your fear you would seek only love's peace and love's pleasure, then it is better for you that you cover your nakedness and pass out of love's threshing floor, into the seasonless world where you shall laugh, but not all of your laughter, and weep, but not all of your tears. A voice cannot carry the tongue and the lips that gave it wings. Alone must it seek the ether. And alone and without his nest shall the eagle fly across the sun. When life does not find a singer to sing her heart, she produces a philosopher to speak her mind. The true wealth of a nation lies not in its gold or silver but in its learning, wisdom, and in the uprightness of its sons. And when you were a silent word upon life's quivering lips, I too was there, another silent word. Then life uttered us and we came down the years throbbing with memories of yesterday and with longing for tomorrow. For yesterday was death conquered and tomorrow was birth pursued. There is a space between man's imagination and man's attainment that may only be traversed by his longing. If I extend an empty hand and in retrieving it and finding it still empty, I feel disappointment, that is foolishness. Yet if I extend a hand which is full and yet find no one to receive it, then that is hopelessness. It was but yesterday I thought myself a fragment quivering without rhythm in the sphere of life. Now I know that I am the sphere, and all life in rhythmic fragments moves within me. I use hate as a weapon to defend myself. Had I been strong, would never have needed that kind of weapon. Saying this, he turned his head toward the window as if he were trying to solve the problems of human existence by concentrating on the beauty of the universe. Madness is the first step towards unselfishness. Be mad and tell us what is behind the veil of sanity. The purpose of life is to bring us closer to those secrets, and madness is the only means. Love provided me with a tongue and tears. O, Lord God, have mercy on me and mend my broken wings. We wanderers, ever seeking the lonelier way, begin no day where we have ended another, and no sunrise finds us where left by sunset. Even while the earth sleeps we travel. We are the seeds of that tenacious plant, and it is in our ripeness and our fullness of heart that we are given to the wind to be scattered. A God who is good knows no segregation amongst words or names. And were a God to deny his blessing to those who pursue a different path to eternity, there would be no human who should offer worship. Love prides itself not only in the one who loves, but also in the beloved. Limited love asks for possession of the beloved, but the unlimited asks only for itself. And some of your elders remember pleasures with regret like wrongs committed in drunkenness. But regret is the beclouding of the mind and not its chastisement. They should remember their pleasures with gratitude, as they would the harvest of a summer. The first thought of God was an angel. The first word of God was a man. Love is life-sharing, not for hurt. Love is alive, both not ambiguous. Love is whole life, not an affair. The best love come from the heart, not from the mouth. When you feel jealousy is a sign that love should have each other. When you are born, your work is placed in your heart. To barter and lose is better than not to go forth. All can hear, but only the sensitive can understand. For even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. Even as he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. Even as he ascends to your height and caresses your tenderest branches that quiver in the sun, so shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. You are your own forerunner, and the towers you have builded are but the foundation of your giant self. And that self too shall be a foundation. We who love him beheld him with these our eyes which he made to see, and we touched him with these our hands which he taught to reach forth. In every aspect of the day Jesus was aware of the Father. He beheld him in the clouds and in the shadows of the clouds that pass over the earth. Let ignorance reproduce itself until it is weary of its own offspring. Say not, I have found the truth, but rather, I have found a truth. Say not, I have found the path of the soul. Say rather, I have met the soul walking upon my path. For the soul walks upon all paths. The soul walks not upon a line, neither does it grow like a reed. The soul unfolds itself, like a lotus of countless petals. The mute grain turns to love songs when swallowed by the nightingale. You are persecuted and despised. It were better that a person should be the oppressed than that he should be the oppressor, and fitter that he should be a victim to the frailty of human instincts than that he should be powerful and crush the flowers of life and disfigure the beauties of feeling with his desire. You are a flower crushed beneath the feet of the animal that is concealed in a human being. Take comfort, in that you are the flower crushed and not the foot that has crushed it. For truth and the Spirit will abide with the morrow. The snow and the storm destroy the flower, but its seed they cannot kill. Life has two halves, one patient and one afire. Love is the fiery half. Make me, O Lord, food for the flames. I learnt silence from the talkative. This for God and this for myself, this for my soul, and this other for my body. You cannot laugh and be unkind at the same time. Beauty shall rise with the dawn from the east. Love has the power that dispels death, charm that conquers the enemy. One may not reach the dawn save by path of night. Who can separate his faith from his actions, or his belief from his occupations? It is only when you are pursued that you become swift. The highest virtue here may be least in another world. As one's gifts increase, his friends decrease. The voice of life in me cannot reach the ear of life in you, but let us talk that we may not feel lonely. You work that you may keep peace with the earth and the soul of the earth. Fear of the devil is one way of doubting God. We fear death, yet we long for slumber and beautiful dreams. The most solid stone in the structure is the lowest one in the foundation. Out of my deeper heart a bird rose and flew skywards. Higher and higher did it rise, yet larger and larger did it grow. At first it was but like a swallow, then a lark, then an eagle, then as vast as a spring cloud, and then it filled the starry heavens. Out of my heart a bird flew skywards, and it waxed larger as it flew, yet it left not my heart. God has created several doors which open onto truth. He opens them to all those who knock on them with the hand of faith. But you who walk facing the sun, What images drawn on the earth can hold you? He who is more mindful of one, loses the love and the faith of both. For reason, ruling alone, is a force confining, and passion, unattended, is a flame that burns to its own destruction. My friend, I am not what I seem. Seeming is but a garment I wear, a carewoven garment that protects me from thy questionings and thee from my negligence. The I in me, my friend, dwells in the house of silence, and therein it shall remain for evermore, unperceived, unapproachable. Vain are the beliefs and teachings that make man miserable, and false is the goodness that leads him into sorrow and despair. For it is man's purpose to be happy on this earth and lead the way to felicity and preach its gospel wherever he goes. He who does not see the kingdom of heaven in this life will never see it in the coming life. We came not into this life by exile, but we came as innocent creatures of God, to learn how to worship the Holy and Eternal Spirit and seek the hidden secrets within ourselves from the beauty of life. I came here to be for all and with all, and what I do today in my solitude will be echoed tomorrow by the multitude. What I say now with one heart will be said tomorrow by thousands of hearts. Humanity is a river of light running from the ex-eternity to eternity. Let us disperse from our aloofness and serve the weak who made us strong, and cleanse the country in which we live. Let us teach this miserable nation to smile and rejoice with heaven's bounty and glory of life and freedom. Then a lawyer said, "But what of our laws, Master?" And he answered, "You delight in laying down laws. Yet you delight more in breaking them. And when you crush an apple with your teeth, say to it in your heart, 'Your seeds shall live in my body, and the buds of your tomorrow shall blossom in my heart, and your fragrance shall be my breath, and together we shall rejoice through all the seasons.' I am the lover's gift, I am the wedding wreath, I am the memory of a moment of happiness, I am the last gift of the living to the dead, I am a part of joy and a part of sorrow." Words are timeless. You should utter them or write them with a knowledge of their timelessness. The ageless melody, unheard, heals, the healing vision, unseen, leads, the true leaders, immortal, know. Some think I wink at them when I shut my eyes to avoid their sight. Let there be spaces in your togetherness. Verily the kindness that gazes upon itself in a mirror turns to stone, and a good deed that calls itself by tender names becomes the parent to a curse. Your body is the harp of your soul, and it is yours to bring forth sweet music from it or confused sounds. We shall never understand one another until we reduce the language to 7 words. Seek ye counsel of the aged, for their eyes have looked on the faces of the years, and their ears have hardened to the voices of life. Even if their counsel is displeasing to you, pay heed to them. Like the seeds dreaming beneath the snow, your heart dreams of spring. Tell your secret to the wind, but don't blame it for telling the trees. The lights of stars that were extinguished ages ago still reaches us. So it is with great men who died centuries ago, but still reach us with the radiations of their personalities. Your friend is your field which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. How narrow is the vision that exalts the busyness of the ant above the singing of the grasshopper. The truly just is he who feels half guilty of your misdeeds. Who are you that men should rend their bosom and unveil their pride, that you may see their worth naked and their pride unabashed? See first that you yourself deserve to be a giver, and an instrument of giving. He who has not looked on sorrow will never see joy. The sorrowful spirit finds relaxation in solitude. It abhors people, as a wounded deer deserts the herd and lives in a cave until it is healed or dead. Only those return to eternity who on earth seek out eternity. Each thing that exists remains forever, and that very existence of existence is proof of its eternity. But without that realization, which is the knowledge of perfect being, man would never know whether there was existence or non-existence. If eternal existence is altered, then it must become more beautiful, and if it disappears, it must return with more sublime image, and if it sleeps, it must dream of a better awakening, for it is ever greater upon its rebirth. I discovered the secret of the sea in meditation upon a dewdrop. Yeah, death and prison we mete out to small offenders of the laws, while honor, wealth, and full respect on greater pirates we bestow. To steal a flower we call mean. To rob a field is chivalry. Who kills the body he must die, who kills the spirit he goes free. Know, therefore, that from the greater silence I shall return. Forget not that I shall come back to you. A little while, a moment of rest upon the wind, and another woman shall bear me. A poet is a bird of unearthly excellence, who escapes from his celestial realm arrives in this world warbling. If we do not cherish him, he spreads his wings and flies back into his homeland. If you cannot but weep when your soul summons you to prayer, she should spur you again and yet again, though weeping, until you shall come laughing. All work is empty save when there is love. Humanity looks upon Jesus the Nazarene as a poor born who suffered misery and humiliation with all of the weak. And he is pitied, for humanity believes he was crucified painfully. And all that humanity offers to him is crying and wailing and lamentation. For centuries humanity has been worshipping weakness in the person of the Savior. The Nazarene was not weak. He was strong and is strong, but the people refuse to heed the true meaning of strength. Some who are too scrupulous to steal your possessions nevertheless see no wrong in tampering with your thoughts. Poetry, my dear friends, is a sacred incarnation of a smile. Poetry is a sigh that dries the tears. Poetry is a spirit who dwells in the soul, whose nourishment is the heart, whose wine is affection. Poetry that comes not in this form is a false messiah. Prayer is the song of the heart. It reaches the ear of God even if it is mingled with the cry and the tumult of 1,000 men. And if you sing though as angels, and love not the singing, you muffle man's ears to the voices of the day and the voices of the night. Oftentimes I have hated in self-defense. If I were stronger I would not have used such a weapon. Life is the mistress to be wooed. A teacher can only lead you to the threshold of your own mind. Strange that creatures without backbones have the hardest shells. Be like a flower and turn your face to the sun. Our God, who art our winged self, it is thy will in us that willeth. It is thy desire in us that desireth. It is thy urge in us that would turn our nights, which are thine, into days which are thine also. We cannot ask thee for aught, for thou knowest our needs before they are born in us. Thou art our need, and in giving us more of thyself thou givest us all. People of Orphalese, beauty is life when life unveils her holy face. But you are life and you are the veil. Beauty is eternity gazing at itself in a mirror. But you are eternity and you are the mirror. In the depth of your hopes and desires lies your silent knowledge of the beyond. I purified my lips with sacred fire that I might speak of love, but when I opened my mouth to speak, I found myself mute. For the criminal who is weak and poor the narrow cell of death awaits, but honor and glory await the rich who conceal their crimes behind their gold and silver and inherited glory. My yearning is my cup, my burning thirst is my drink, and my solitude is my intoxication. I do not and shall not quench my thirst. But in this burning that is never extinguished is a joy that never wanes. When you love you should not think you can direct the course of love, for love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course. Tolerance is love sick with the sickness of haughtiness. Love is all I can possess and no one can deprive me of it. Khalil Gibran, Visions of the Prophet. Life is not only merriment, it is desire and determination. And then to sleep with a prayer for the beloved in your heart and a song of praise upon your lips. You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days. Aye, you shall be together even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Like sheaves of corn it gathers you unto itself. It threshes you to make you naked. It sifts you to free you from your husks. It grinds you to whiteness. It kneads you until you are pliant. And then it assigns you to its sacred fire, that you may become sacred bread for God's sacred feast. All these things shall love do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in that knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. Love that is cleansed by tears will remain eternally pure and beautiful. Make me, O God, the prey of the lion, ere you make the rabbit my prey. The brooks flow to their lover, the sea, and the flowers smile at the object of their passion, the light. The mist rolls down to its beloved, the valley. And in me is what brooks do not know, what flowers do not hear, what the mist does not apprehend. You see me alone in my love, solitary in my yearning. My God, my aim and my fulfillment, I am thy yesterday and thou art my tomorrow. I am thy root in the earth and thou art my flower in the sky, and together we grow before the face of the sun. To judge you by your failures is to cast blame upon the seasons for their inconstancy. The heart's affections are divided like the branches of the cedar tree. If the tree loses one strong branch, it will suffer, but it does not die. It will pour all its vitality into the next branch so that it will grow and fill the empty place. For the sight of the angry weather saddens my soul, and the sight of the town, sitting like a bereaved mother beneath layers of ice, oppresses my heart. If a man loses a dear friend, he looks around and sees many friends come to console and comfort him. If a man loses his wealth, after a little thought he will realize that the delight that came from wealth will be restored by finding more. Thus he forgets his loss and is consoled. But if a man's heart is deprived of peace, where will he find it again? How will he replace it? The human heart cries out for help, the human soul implores us for deliverance, but we do not heed their cries, for we neither hear nor understand. But the man who hears and understands we call mad, and flee from him. Thus the nights pass, and we live in unawareness, and the days greet us and embrace us. But we live in constant dread of day and night. The Creator gives no heed to the critic unless he becomes a barren inventor. When you were a wandering desire in the mist, I too was there, a wandering desire. Then we sought one another, and out of our eagerness dreams were born. And dreams were time limitless, and dreams were space without measure. As the strings of a lute are apart though they quiver the same music. For in truth it is life that gives unto life, while you, who deem yourself a giver, are but a witness. And one of the elders of the city said, Speak to us of good and evil. And he answered, You are good in countless ways, and you are not evil when you are not good. Yet the timeless in you is aware of life's timelessness, and knows that yesterday is but today's memory and tomorrow is today's dream. and that which sings and contemplates in you is still dwelling within the bounds of that first moment which scattered the stars into space. Who among you does not feel that his power to love is boundless? And yet who does not feel that very love, though boundless, encompassed within the center of his being, and moving not from love thought to love thought, nor from love deeds to other love deeds? And is not time even as love is, undivided and paceless? Love descends upon our souls by the will of God and not by the demand or the plea of the individual. Love is quivering happiness. But you who walk facing the sun, what images drawn on the earth can hold you? You who travel with the wind, what weather vane shall direct your course? What man's law shall bind you if you break your yoke but upon no man's prison door? What laws shall you fear if you dance but stumble against no man's iron chains? And who is he that shall bring you to judgment if you tear off your garment yet leave it in no man's path? People of Orphalese, you can muffle the drum, and you can loosen the strings of the lyre, but who shall command the skylark not to sing? Because the soul is like a flower that folds its petals when dark comes, and breathes not its fragrance into the phantoms of the night. Love is a sacred mystery. To those who love, it remains forever wordless, but to those who do not love, it may be but a heartless jest. The philosopher's soul dwells in his head, the poet's soul is in his heart, the singer's soul lingers about his throat, but the soul of the dancer abides in all her body. My soul gave me good counsel, teaching me to love what the people abhor and to show goodwill toward the one they hate. It showed me that love is a property not of the lover but of the beloved. Before my soul taught me, love was for me a delicate thread stretched between two adjacent pegs, but now it has been transformed into a halo. Its first is its last, and its last is its first. It encompasses every being, slowly expanding to embrace all that ever will be. The love of a parent for a child is the love that should grow toward separation. For to be idle is to become a stranger unto the seasons, and to step out of life's procession that marches in majesty and proud submission towards the infinite. Listen to the woman when she looks at you, not when she talks to you. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked. Your house shall be not an anchor but a mast. It shall not be a glistening film that covers a wound, but an eyelid that guards the eye. The most wonderful thing, Mary, is that you and I are always walking together, hand in hand, in a strangely beautiful world, unknown to other people. We both stretch one hand to receive from life, and life is generous indeed. For what is prayer but the expansion of yourself into the living ether? And that which sings and contemplates in you is still dwelling within the bounds of that first moment which scattered the stars into space. And let it direct your passion with reason, that your passion may live through its own daily resurrection, and like the phoenix rise above its own ashes. You can muffle the drum, and you can loosen the strings of the lyre, but who shall command the skylark not to sing? Defeat, my deathless courage, you and I shall laugh together with the storm, and together we shall dig graves for all that die in us. And we shall stand in the sun with a will, and we shall be dangerous. A traveler I am, and a navigator, and every day I discover a new region within my soul. The veil that clouds your eyes shall be lifted by the hands that wove it. These things he said in words, but much in his heart remained unsaid, for he himself could not speak his deeper secret. Some of our children are our justifications and some are but our regrets. And as a single leaf turns not yellow but with the silent knowledge of the whole tree. For that which is boundless in you abides in the mansion of the sky, whose door is the morning mist, and whose windows are the songs and the silences of night. Women opened the windows of my eyes and the doors of my spirit. Had it not been for the woman mother, the woman sister, and the woman friend, I would have been sleeping among those who seek the tranquility of the world with their snoring. Love is timeless. Death does not separate the lover from the beloved. When the earth shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance. Always you have been told that work is a curse and labor a misfortune. But I say to you that when you work you fulfill a part of earth's furthest dream, assigned to you when that dream was born. In battling evil, excess is good, for he who is moderate in announcing the truth is presenting half-truth. He conceals the other half out of fear of people's wrath. You cannot lay remorse upon the innocent nor lift it from the heart of the guilty. Unbidden shall it call in the night, that men may wake and gaze upon themselves. I sit between my brother the mountain and my sister the sea. We three are one in loneliness, and the love that binds us together is deep and strong and strange. You would know the secret of death, but how shall you find it unless you seek it in the heath of life? The owl whose night-bound eyes are blind unto the day cannot unveil the mystery of light. If you would indeed behold the spirit of death, open your heart wide unto the body of life. For life and death are one, even as the river and sea are one. For what is it to die but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun? They have exiled me now from their society and I am pleased, because humanity does not exile except the one whose noble spirit rebels against despotism and oppression. He who does not prefer exile to slavery is not free by any measure of freedom. Science and religion are in full accord, but science and faith are in complete discord. Do not be merciful, but be just, for mercy is bestowed upon the guilty criminal, while justice is all that the innocent man requires. The chemist who can extract from his heart's elements compassion, respect, longing, patience, regret, surprise, and forgiveness and compound them into one can create that atom which is called love. Who can depart from his pain and aloneness without regret? Too many fragments of the Spirit have I scattered in these streets, and too many are the children of my longing that walk naked among these hills, and I cannot withdraw from them without a burden and an ache. It is not a garment I cast off this day, but a skin that I tear with my own hands. Yet I cannot tarry longer. Each day look into your conscience and amend your faults. If you fail in this duty you will be untrue to the knowledge and reason that are within you. Keep a watchful eye over yourself as if you were your own enemy, for you cannot learn to govern yourself, unless you first learn to govern your own passions and obey the dictates of your conscience. Sayings remain meaningless until they are embodied in habits. Real beauty lies in the spiritual accord that is called love, which can exist between a man and a woman. You progress not through what has been done, but reaching towards what has yet to be done. The significance of a man is not in what he attains, but rather what he longs to attain. The very strength that protects the heart from injury is the strength that prevents the heart from enlarging to its intended greatness within. The song of the voice is sweet, but the song of the heart is the pure voice of heaven. And you would accept the seasons of your heart just as you have always accepted that seasons pass over your fields, and you would watch with serenity through the winters of your grief. Those to whom worshipping is a window, to open but also to shut, have not yet visited the house of their souls whose windows are open from dawn to dawn. The truly good is he who is one with all those who are deemed bad. The tears that you spill, the sorrowful, are sweeter than the laughter of snobs and the guffaws of scoffers. Let your best be for your friend. The biggest thing in today's sorrow is the memory of yesterday's joy. Like the ocean is your God-self, it remains forever undefiled. And like the ether it lifts but the winged. Even like the sun is your God-self, it knows not the ways of the mole nor seeks at the holes of the serpent. But your God-self does not dwell alone in your being. Much in you is still man, and much in you is not yet man, but a shapeless pygmy that walks asleep in the mist searching for its own awakening. Perhaps a man may commit suicide in self-defense. When you have grasped a problem clearly, face it with resolution, for that is the way of the strong. Am I a harp that the hand of the mighty may touch me, or a flute that his breath may pass through me? A seeker of silences am I, and what treasure have I found in silences that I may dispense with confidence? There is no secret in the mystery of life stronger and more beautiful than that attachment which converts the silence of a virgin spirit into a perpetual awareness that makes a person forget the past, for it kindles fiercely in the heart the sweet and overwhelming hope of the coming future. A look which reveals inward stress adds more beauty to the face, no matter how much tragedy and pain it bespeaks, but the face which, in silence, does not announce hidden mysteries is not beautiful, regardless of the symmetry of its features. To love life through our labor is to be intimate with life's inmost secrets. And alone and without his nest shall the eagle fly across the sun. All things in this creation exist within you, and all things in you exist in creation. There is no border between you and the closest things, and there is no distance between you and the farthest things, and all things, from the lowest to the loftiest, from the smallest to the greatest, are within you as equal things. We are limited, not by our abilities, but by our vision. Pity it is we drowse too soon, pity it is we fall asleep ere our song encompass the height, ere our hand inherit the deep. I said to life, I would hear death speak. And life raised her voice a little higher and said, you hear him now. We are the sons of sorrow, we are the poets and the prophets and the musicians. Life is weaker than death, and death is weaker than truth. He who loses his mother loses a pure soul who blesses and guards him constantly. But now I have learned to listen to silence, to hear its choirs singing the song of ages, chanting the hymns of space, and disclosing the secrets of eternity. There are those who give with joy, and that joy is their reward. And there are those who give with pain, and that pain is their baptism. And there are those who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. Through the hands of such as these God speaks, and from behind their eyes he smiles upon the earth. Come with us to the field, or go with our brothers to the sea and cast your net. For the land and the sea shall be bountiful to you even as to us. Friendship with the ignorant is as foolish as arguing with a drunkard. The power to love is God's greatest gift to man, for it never will be taken from the blessed one who loves. My house says to me, do not leave me, for here dwells your past. And the road says to me, come and follow me, for I am your future. And I say to both my house and the road, I have no past, nor have I a future. If I stay here, there is a going in my staying, and if I go there is a staying in my going. Only love and death change all things. Art is a step in the known toward the unknown. Thinking is always the stumbling stone to poetry. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. Why dispute what we shall be, when we know not even what we are? Sorrow is too great to exist in small hearts. The envier praises me unknowingly. Trickery succeeds sometimes, but it always commits suicide. Disagreement may be the shortest cut between two minds. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. When you are joyous, look deep into your heart and you will find that it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. Many are the fools who say that Jesus stood in his own path and opposed himself, that he knew not his own mind, and in the absence of that knowledge confounded himself. What of the old serpent who cannot shed his skin, and calls all others naked and shameless? The shepherd will deny the diseased lamb in fear of the flock. When we oppose the hidden conscience, it does us hurt. When we betray it, it judges us. Take then this book, look into it, and show me when Jesus was not forgiving. Read this diving tragedy and tell me where he speaks without mercy and compassion. You visit not the sick and the imprisoned, nor do you feed the hungry or give refuge to the stranger or comfort to the mourner. Hate is a dead thing. Who of you would be a tomb? Yesterday is ever jealous of tomorrow. Those who give you a serpent when you ask for a fish may have nothing but serpents to give. Harlots shall be made pure by their own tears, but you publicans shall be held down by the chains of your own judgment. Rob a neighbor with a smile. And how shall you punish those whose remorse is already greater than their misdeeds? Have you not heard of the man who was digging in the earth for roots and found a treasure? He who denies his heritage has no heritage. Philosophy's work is finding the shortest path between 2 points. You are good when you are fully awake in your speech, yet you are not evil when you sleep while your tongue staggers without purpose. And even stumbling speech may strengthen a weak tongue. He is short-sighted who looks only on the path he treads and the wall on which he leans. Our pain carves out a larger space for love to fill. In truth you owe naught to any man. You owe to all men. My proof convinces the ignorant, and the wise man's proof convinces me. But he whose reasoning falls between wisdom and ignorance, I neither can convince him, nor can he convince me. For the first time the sun kissed my own naked face, and my soul was inflamed with love for the sun, and I wanted my masks no more. And as if in a trance I cried, "Blessed, blessed are the thieves who stole my masks." Thus I became a madman. When you look closely, people are so strange, so complicated that they're actually beautiful. And when one of you falls down, he falls for those behind him, a caution against the stumbling stone. And he falls for those ahead of him, who though faster and surer of foot, yet remove not the stumbling stone. Should you really open your eyes and see, you would behold your image in all images. And should you open your ears and listen, you would hear your own voice in all voices. My friends, music is the language of spirits. Its melody is like the frolicsome breeze that makes the strings quiver with love. When the gentle fingers of music knock at the door of our feelings, they awaken memories that have long lain hidden in the depths of the past. The sad strains of music bring us mournful recollections, and her quiet strains bring us joyful memories. The sound of strings makes us weep at the departure of a dear one, or makes us smile at the peace God has bestowed upon us. Reason without learning is like the untilled soil, or like the human body that lacks nourishment. He who listens to truth is not less than he who utters truth. If winter should say, "Spring is in my heart," who would believe winter? Man is like the foam of the sea, that floats upon the surface of the water. When the wind blows, it vanishes, as if it had never been. Thus are our lives blown away by death. Verily, all things move within your being in constant half-embrace, the desired and the dreaded, the repugnant and the cherished, the pursued and that which you would escape. For this I bless you most. You give much and know not that you give at all. Sit by me, my beloved, and listen to my heart, smile, for your happiness is a symbol of our future. I have passed the mountain peak and my soul is soaring in the firmament of complete and unbounded freedom. I am in comfort, I am in peace. Believing is a fine thing, but placing those beliefs into execution is a test of strength. Many are those who talk like the roar of the sea, but their lives are shallow and stagnant, like the rotting marshes. Many are those who lift their heads above the mountain tops, but their spirits remain dormant in the obscurity of the caverns. Said a skunk to a tuberose, "See how swiftly I run, while you cannot walk nor even creep." Said the tuberose to the skunk, "Oh, most noble swift runner, please run swiftly." Love is the veil between lover and lover. Yet has not man wept at the sounds, and are not his tears eloquent understanding? Reason is not like the goods sold in the marketplaces. The more plentiful they are, the less they are worth. Reason's worth waxes with her abundance. But were she sold in the market, it is only the wise man who would understand her true value. Love gives naught but itself and takes naught but from itself. A shy failure is nobler than an immodest success. Death changes nothing but the mask that covers our faces. Now let us play hide and seek. Should you hide in my heart, it would not be difficult to find you. But should you hide behind your own shell, then it would be useless for anyone to seek you. God has given you a spirit with wings on which to soar into the spacious firmament of love and freedom. Is it not pitiful then that you cut your wings with your own hands and suffer your soul to crawl like an insect upon the earth? In a dream I saw Jesus and my God Pan sitting together in the heart of the forest. They laughed at each other's speech, with the brook that ran near them, and the laughter of Jesus was the merrier. And they conversed long. You, the strong, have I loved, though the marks of your iron hoofs are yet upon my flesh. Love is a gracious host to his guests, though to the unbidden his house is a mirage and a mockery. Follow only beauty and obey only love. A word I want to see written on my grave: I am alive like you, and I am standing beside you. Close your eyes and look around, you will see me in front of you. Men would bless you or curse you, the curse, a protest against failure, the blessing, a hymn of the hunter who comes back from the hills with provision for his mate. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. Your thought describes laws, courts, judges, punishments. Mine explains that when man makes a law, he either violates it or obeys it. If there is a basic law, we are all one before it. He who disdains the mean is himself mean. He who vaunts his scorn of the sinful vaunts his disdain of all humanity. If aught I have said is truth, that truth shall reveal itself in a clearer voice, and in words more kin to your thoughts. God has bestowed upon you intelligence and knowledge. Do not extinguish the lamp of divine grace, and do not let the candle of wisdom die out in the darkness of lust and error. For a wise man approaches with his torch to light up the path of mankind. Only once have I been made mute. It was when a man asked me, "Who are you?" A truth is to be known always, to be uttered sometimes. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Many are the places of worship, but few indeed are those who worship in spirit and in truth. Pity the nation whose statesman is a fox, whose philosopher is a juggler, and whose art is the art of patching and mimicking. Pity the nation that welcomes its new ruler with trumpetings, and farewells him with hootings, only to welcome another ruler with trumpetings again. Pity the nation whose sages are dumb with years and whose strong men are yet in the cradle. Pity the nation divided into fragments, each fragment deeming itself a nation. We stood up and bade each other farewell, but love and despair stood between us like two ghosts, one stretching his wings with his fingers over our throats, one weeping and the other laughing hideously. As I took Selma's hand and put it to my lips, she came close to me and placed a kiss on my forehead, then dropped on the wooden bench. She shut her eyes and whispered softly, "Oh, Lord God, have mercy on me and mend my broken wings." Inspiration will always sing, inspiration will never explain. A little while, a moment of rest upon the wind, and another woman shall bear me. Conscience is a just but weak judge. Weakness leaves it powerless to execute its judgment. Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving. And he is your board and your fireside. For you come to him with your hunger, and you seek him for peace. A man can be free without being great, but no man can be great without being free. He who repeats what he does not understand is no better than an ass that is loaded with books. Cover me with soft earth, and let each handful be mixed with seeds of jasmine, lilies, and myrtle. And when they grow above me and thrive on my body's element, they will breathe the fragrance of my heart into space. All things in this vast universe exist in you, with you, and for you. When you love, you should not say, "God is in my heart," but rather, "I am in the heart of God." For love is sufficient unto love. It is not a garment I cast off this day, but a skin that I tear with my own hands. But memory is an autumn leaf that murmurs a while in the wind and then is heard no more. If in the twilight of memory we should meet once more, we shall speak again together, and you shall sing to me a deeper song. And if our hands should meet in another dream, we shall build another tower in the sky. It is not the image you would see nor the song you would hear, but rather an image you see though you close your eyes, and a song you hear though you shut your ears. I am forever walking upon these shores, betwixt the sand and the foam. The high tide will erase my food prints, and the wind will blow away the foam. But the sea and the shore will remain forever. Now I realize that the trees blossom in spring and bear fruit in summer without seeking praise, and they drop their leaves in autumn and become naked in winter without fearing blame. Between the shores of the oceans and the summit of the highest mountain is a secret route that you must absolutely take before being one with the sons of the earth. Every man loves two women, the one is the creation of his imagination and the other is not yet born. You are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might that his arrows may go swift and far. For the vision of one man lends not its wings to another man. In the autumn I gathered all my sorrows and buried them in my garden. And when April returned and spring came to wed the earth, there grew in my garden beautiful flowers unlike all other flowers. And my neighbors came to behold them, and they all said to me, when autumn comes again, at seeding time, will you not give us of the seeds of these flowers that we may have them in our gardens? For what is evil but good tortured by its own hunger and thirst? Love is the gentle smile upon the lips of beauty. Your saying, I do not understand you, is praise beyond my worth, and an insult you do not deserve. Your fear of death is but the trembling of the shepherd when he stands before the king whose hand is to be laid upon him in honor. If indeed you must be candid beautifully. Give and take. For to the bee a flower is a fountain of life, and to the flower a bee is a messenger of love, and to both, bee and flower, the giving and the receiving is a need and an ecstasy. Extreme torture is mute, and so we sat silent, petrified, like columns of marble buried under the sand of an earthquake. Neither wished to listen to the other because our heart threads had become weak and even breathing would have broken them. He who does not seek advice is a fool. His folly blinds him to truth and makes him evil, stubborn, and a danger to his fellow man. If it's a despot you would dethrone, see first that his throne erected within you is destroyed. I deserted the world and sought solitude because I became tired of rendering courtesy to those multitudes who believe that humility is a sort of weakness, and mercy a kind of cowardice, and snobbery a form of strength. When God threw me, a pebble, into this wondrous lake, I disturbed its surface with countless circles. But when I reached the depths, I became very still. Sow a seed and the earth will yield you a flower. Dream your dream to the sky and it will bring you your beloved. Should we all confess our sins to one another, we would all laugh at one another for our lack of originality. Knowledge and understanding are life's faithful companions who will never prove untrue to you. For knowledge is your crown, and understanding your staff, and when they are with you, you can possess no greater treasures. You may chain my hands, you may shackle my feet, you may even throw me into a dark prison, but you shall not enslave my thinking, because it is free. You are far, far greater than you know, and all is well. It is slavery to live in the mind unless it has become part of the body. No lower can a man descend than to interpret his dreams into gold and silver. Education sows not seeds in you, but makes your seeds grow. Your hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and the nights. And when you have reached the mountain top, then you shall begin to climb. It is not the sap within the furrowed bark, nor a wing attached to a claw, but rather a garden forever in bloom and a flock of angels forever in flight. Life unfolds itself in mysteries ways. Desire is half of life, indifference is half of death. Wake at dawn with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving. Thus with my lips have I denounced you, while my heart, bleeding within me, called you tender names. It was love lashed by its own self that spoke. It was pride half slain that fluttered in the dust. It was my hunger for your love that raged from the housetop, while my own love, kneeling in silence, prayed your forgiveness. Who among you does not feel that his power to love is boundless? And yet who does not feel that very love, though boundless, encompassed within the center of his being, and moving not from love thought to love thought, nor from love deeds to other love deeds? Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? I have found both freedom and safety in my madness, the freedom of loneliness and the safety from being understood, for those who understand us enslave something in us. Solitude has soft, silky hands, but with strong fingers it grasps the heart and makes it ache with sorrow. Is not the beautiful moon, that inspires poets, the same moon which angers the silence of the sea with a terrible roar? All that spirits desire, spirits attain. Love has no other desire but to fulfill itself. For thought is a bird of space, that in a cage of words may indeed unfold its wings but cannot fly. The soul unfolds itself, like a lotus of countless petals. The teacher gives not of his wisdom, but rather of his faith and lovingness. No man can reveal to you aught but that which already lies half asleep in the dawning of your knowledge. The teacher who walks in the shadow of the temple, among his followers, gives not of his wisdom but rather of his faith and his lovingness. If he is indeed wise, he does not bid you enter the house of his wisdom, but rather leads you to the threshold of your own mind. For what is it to die but to stand naked in the wind and to melt into the sun? And when the earth shall claim your limbs, then shall you truly dance. Art arises when the secret vision of the artist and the manifestation of nature agree to find new shapes. Love is the only flower that grows and blossoms without the aid of the seasons. An eye for an eye, and the whole world would be blind. Yes, there is a nirvana. It is leading your sheep to a green pasture, and in putting your child to sleep, and in writing the last line of your poem. Mother, the most beautiful word on the lips of mankind. Do not fear the thorns in your path, for they draw only corrupt blood. The sun teaches to all things that grow their longing for the light, but it is night that raises them to the stars. Give me an ear and I will give you a voice. Say not, I have found the path of the soul, say rather, I have met the soul walking upon my path. Be patient, for it is from doubt that knowledge is born. Enthusiasm is a volcano on whose top never grows the grass of hesitation. Darkness is dawn not yet born. Your house is your larger body. In the depth of my soul there is a wordless song. Your freedom, when it loses its fetters, becomes itself the fetter of a greater freedom. O heart, if one should say to you that the soul perishes like the body, answer that the flower withers, but the seed remains. And let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Your life is an island separated from all other islands and continents. Regardless of how many boats you send to other shores or how many ships arrive upon your shores, you yourself are an island separated by its own pains, secluded in its happiness. My brothers, seek counsel of one another, for therein lies the way out of error and futile repentance. The wisdom of the many is your shield against tyranny. For when we turn to one another for counsel, we reduce the number of our enemies. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. Where can I find a man governed by reason instead of habits and urges? When you work you fulfill a part of earth's furthest dream, assigned to you when that dream was born, and what is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to charge all things you fashion with a breath of your own spirit. Work is love made visible. My friend, be not like him who sits by his fireside and watches the fire go out, then blows vainly upon the dead ashes. Do not give up hope or yield to despair because of that which is past, for to bewail the irretrievable is the worst of human frailties. I slept and I dreamed that life is all joy. I woke and I saw that life is all service. I served and I saw that service is joy. And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? Your clothes conceal much of your beauty, yet they hide not the unbeautiful. God has placed in each soul an apostle to lead us upon the illumined path. Yet many seek life from without, unaware that is within them. Yet you shall not deplore having known blindness, nor regret having been deaf. For in that day you shall know the hidden purposes in all things. And you shall bless darkness as you would bless light. The feelings we live through in love and in loneliness are simply, for us, what high tide and low tide are to the sea. There are those who give little of the much which they have, and they give it for recognition, and their hidden desire makes their gifts unwholesome. He who has not looked on sorrow will never see joy. For without sorrow how would you know what joy is? Contrast provides perceptive clarity. To be closer to God, be closer to people. Remember that divinity is the true self of man. It cannot be sold for gold, neither can it be heaped up as are the riches of the world today. The rich man has cast off his divinity, and has clung to his gold. And the young today have forsaken their divinity and pursue self-indulgence and pleasure. Qualities of good citizens is to admire what others have created in love and faith. Persecution cannot harm him who stands by truth. Did not Socrates fall proudly a victim in body? Was not Paul stoned for the sake of the truth? It is our inner selves that hurt us when we disobey it, and it kills us when we betray it. Many of us spend our whole lives running from feeling with the mistaken belief that you cannot bear the pain. But you have already borne the pain. What you have not done is feel all you are beyond that pain. When you see a man led to prison, say in your heart, mayhap he is escaping from a narrower prison. And when you see a man drunken, say in your heart, mayhap he sought escape from something still more unbeautiful. For a love to grow through the test of everyday living, one must respect that zone of privacy where one retires to relate to the inside instead of the outside. My Lebanon is a flock of birds fluttering in the early morning as shepherds lead their sheep into the meadow, rising in the evening as farmers return from their fields and vineyards. You have your Lebanon and its people. I have my Lebanon and its people. There is within me a friend who consoles me every time that troubles overwhelm me and misfortunes afflict me. The man who does not feel friendship towards himself is a public enemy, and he who finds no confidant within himself will die of despair. For life streams out of man's inner self and in no way from what surrounds him. Seek not the depths of your knowledge with staff or sounding line, for self is a sea boundless and measureless. If your knowledge teaches you not the value of things, and frees you not from the bondage to matter, you shall never come near the throne of truth. Unless the exchange be in love and kindly justice, it will but lead some to greed and others to hunger. And you receivers, and you are all receivers, assume no weight of gratitude, lest you lay a yoke upon yourself and upon him who gives. Rather rise together with the giver on his gifts as on wings, for to be over-mindful of your debt is to doubt his generosity who has the free-hearted earth for mother, and God for father. The thirst of soul is sweeter than the wine of material things, and the fear of spirit is dearer than the security of the body. And all knowledge is vain save when there is work, and all work is empty save when there is love, and when you work with love you bind yourself to yourself, and to one another, and to God. Learn the words of wisdom uttered by the wise and apply them in your own life. Live them, but do not make a show of reciting them, for he who repeats what he does not understand is no better than an ass loaded with books. Miserable is the man who loves a woman and takes her for his wife, pouring at her feet the sweat of his skin and the blood of his body and the life of his heart, and placing her in the hands of the fruit of his toil and the revenue of his diligence, for when he slowly wakes up, he finds that the heart that he endeavored to buy is given away freely and in sincerity to another man for the enjoyment of its hidden secrets and deepest love. The truly great man is he who would master no one, and who would be mastered by none. When you kill a beast, say to him in your heart, by the same power that slays you, I too am slain, and I too shall be consumed. For the law that delivers you into my hand shall deliver me into a mightier hand. Your blood and my blood is naught but the sap that feeds the tree of heaven. God has made many doors opening into truth which he opens to all who knock upon them with hands of faith. Do not keep crying when your love has been gone. You only need smile because he had been given you the opportunity to meet someone who is better. Marriage is like a temple resting on two pillars. If they come too close to each other, the temple will collapse. A truly religious man does not embrace a religion, and he who embraces one has no religion. Everyone has experienced that truth, that love, like a running brook, is disregarded, taken for granted, but when the brook freezes over, then people begin to remember how it was when it ran, and they want it to run again. Even as the holy and the righteous cannot rise beyond the highest which is in each one of you, so the wicked and the weak cannot fall lower than the lowest which is in you also. Lovers embrace that which is between them rather than each other. He that tries to seize an opportunity after it has passed him by is like one who sees it approach but will not go to meet it. For the breath of life is in the sunlight and the hand of life is in the wind. Much of your pain is self-chosen. It is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. Therefore trust the physician, and drink his remedy in silence and tranquility, for his hand, though heavy and hard, is guided by the tender hand of the unseen, and the cup he brings, though it burn your lips, has been fashioned of the clay which the potter has moistened with his own sacred tears. And if you would know God, be not therefore a solver of riddles. Rather look about you, and you shall see him playing with your children. And look into space, you shall see him walking in the cloud, outstretching his arms in the lightning and descending in rain. You shall see him smiling in flowers, then rising and waving his hands in trees. How can I lose faith in the justice of life, when the dreams of those who sleep upon feathers are not more beautiful than the dreams of those who sleep upon the earth? We are all like the bright moon, we still have our darker side. A hermit is one who renounces the world of fragments that he may enjoy the world wholly and without interruption. The appearance of things changes according to the emotions, and thus we see magic and beauty in them, while the magic and beauty are really in ourselves. If we were to all sit in a circle and confess our sins, we would laugh at each other for lack of originality. God made truth with many doors to welcome every believer who knocks on them. Remembrance is a form of meeting. Whoever would be a teacher of men, let him begin by teaching himself before teaching others, and let him teach by example before teaching by word. For he who teaches himself and rectifies his own ways is more deserving of respect and reverence than he who would teach others and rectify their ways. Love is trembling happiness. Perhaps time's definition of coal is the diamond. Birth and death are the two noblest expressions of bravery. It is well to give when asked, but it is better to give unasked, through understanding, and to the open-handed the search for one who shall receive is joy greater than giving. The poet is a bird of strange moods. He descends from his lofty domain to tarry among us, singing. If we do not honor him, he will unfold his wings and fly back to his dwelling place. The mother is everything. She is our consolation in sorrow, our hope in misery, and our strength in weakness. She is the source of love, mercy, sympathy, and forgiveness. He who loses his mother loses a pure soul who blesses and guards him constantly. Is not dread of thirst when your well is full, the thirst that is unquenchable. It has been said that next to hunger and thirst, our most basic human need is for storytelling. The smallest act of kindness is worth more than the greatest intention. Follow your heart. Your heart is the right guide in everything big. Mine is so limited. What you want to do is determined by that divine element that is in each of us. Much of your pain is self-chosen. Love is the only freedom in the world because it so elevates the spirit that the laws of humanity and the phenomena of nature do not alter its course. And only the sure of foot can give a hand to him who stumbles. Braving obstacles and hardships is braver than retreat to tranquility. Solitude is a silent storm that breaks down all our dead branches, yet it sends our living roots deeper into the living heart of the living earth. He who seeks ecstasy in love should not complain of suffering. He who defines his conduct by ethics imprisons his songbird in a cage. If you are poor, shun association with him who measures men with the yardstick of riches. Our worst fault is our preoccupation with the faults of others. In every winter's heart there is a quivering spring, and behind the veil of each night there is a shining dawn. Only love and death will change all things. We live only to discover beauty. All else is a form of waiting. Love has no other desire but to fulfill itself, but if you love and must needs have desires, let these be your desires. The song of the voice is sweet, but the song of the heart is the pure voice of heaven. Happiness is a vine that takes root and grows within the heart, never outside it. You have been told that, even like a chain, you are as weak as your weakest link. This is but half the truth. You are also as strong as your strongest link. To measure you by your smallest deed is to reckon the power of ocean by the frailty of its foam. To judge you by your failures is to cast blame upon the seasons for their inconstancy. In friendship let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. Your clothes conceal much of your beauty, yet they hide not the unbeautiful. And though you seek in garments the freedom of privacy, you may find in them a harness and a chain. Would that you could meet the sun and the wind with more of your body and less of your raiment. Money is like love, it kills slowly and painfully the one who withholds it, and enlivens the other who turns it on his fellow man. A woman whom Providence has provided with beauty of spirit and body is a truth, at the same time both open and secret, which we can understand only by love, and touch only by virtue. Men who do not forgive women their little faults will never enjoy their great virtues. Life without love is like a tree without blossoms or fruit. Love has no other desire but to fulfill itself, to melt and be like a running brook that sings its melody to the night, to wake at dawn with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving. Spring is beautiful everywhere, but it is more than beautiful in Lebanon. Spring is the spirit of an unknown God speeding through the world, which, as it reaches Lebanon, pauses. Because now it is as at home with the souls of the prophets and kings hovering over the land, chanting with the brooks of Judea, the eternal psalms of Solomon, renewing with the cedars of Lebanon memories of an ancient glory. Beauty is life when life unveils her holy face. Every beauty and greatness in this world is created by a single thought or emotion inside a man. Everything we see today, made by past generations, was, before its appearance, a thought in the mind of a man or an impulse in the heart of a woman. No human relation gives one possession in another. Every two souls are absolutely different. In friendship or in love, the two side by side raise hands together to find what one cannot reach alone. You cannot judge any man beyond your knowledge of him, and how small is your knowledge. My soul gave me good counsel, teaching me never to delight in praise or to be distressed by reproach. Before my soul taught me, I doubted the value of my accomplishments until the passing days sent someone who would extol or disparage them. But now I know that trees blossom in the spring and give their fruits in the summer without any desire for accolades. And they scatter their leaves abroad in the fall and denude themselves in the winter without fear of reproof. In the depth of my soul there is a wordless song, a song that lives in the seed of my heart. It refuses to melt with ink on parchment. It engulfs my affection in a transparent cloak and flows, but not upon my lips. You talk when you cease to be at peace with your thoughts, and when you can no longer dwell in the solitude of your heart you live in your lips. And sound is a diversion and a pastime. And in much of your talking, thinking is half murdered. Love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course. Poverty hides itself in thought before it surrenders to purses. You are not enclosed within your bodies, nor confined to houses or fields. That which is you dwells above the mountain and roves with the wind. For if you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half man's hunger. Your hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and the nights. But your ears thirst for the sound of the heart's knowledge. You would know in words that which you have always known in thought. You would touch with your fingers the naked body of the dreams. The earth is like a beautiful bride who needs no man-made jewels to heighten her loveliness. And let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. In the mouth of society are many diseased teeth, decayed to the bones of the jaws. But society makes no effort to have them extracted and be rid of the affliction. It contents itself with gold fillings. Beauty is not a need but an ecstasy. It is not a mouth thirsting nor an empty hand stretched forth, but rather a heart inflamed and a soul enchanted. Hearts united in pain and sorrow will not be separated by joy and happiness. Bonds that are woven in sadness are stronger than the ties of joy and pleasure. Love that is washed by tears will remain eternally pure and faithful. Life without freedom is like a body without a soul, and freedom without thought is like a confused spirit. Life, freedom and thought are three in one, and are everlasting and shall never pass away. Marriage is like a golden ring in a chain, whose beginning is a glance and whose ending is eternity. If your knowledge teaches you not to rise above human weakness and misery and lead your fellow man on the right path, you are indeed a man of little worth and will remain such till Judgment Day. Every man is two men, one is awake in the darkness, the other asleep in the light. Only yesterday I was no different than them, yet I was saved. I am explaining to you the way of life of a people who say every sort of wicked thing about me because I sacrificed their friendship to gain my own soul. I left the dark paths of their duplicity and turned my eyes toward the light where there is salvation, truth, and justice. They have exiled me now from their society, yet I am content. Mankind only exiles the one whose large spirit rebels against injustice and tyranny. He who does not prefer exile to servility is not free in the true and necessary sense of freedom. My loneliness was born when men praised my talkative faults and blamed my silent virtues. And before my soul took me to task I was hard of hearing, I heard only tumult and uproar. But now I am all ears listening to the silence and its choirs singing the hymns of time, intoning the praises of the firmament, revealing the secrets of the invisible. I love you, my brother, whoever you are, whether you worship in a church, kneel in your temple, or pray in your mosque. You and I are children of one faith, for the diverse paths of religion are fingers of the loving hand of the one Supreme Being, a hand extended to all, offering completeness of spirit to all, eager to receive all. Love is a magic ray emitted from the burning core of the soul and illuminating the surrounding earth. It enables us to perceive life as a beautiful dream between one awakening and another. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. And could you keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life, your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. Nature reaches out to us with welcoming arms, and bids us enjoy her beauty, but we dread her silence and rush into the crowded cities, there to huddle like sheep fleeing from a ferocious wolf. Among the hills, when you sit in the cool shade of the white poplars, sharing the peace and serenity of distant fields and meadows, then let your heart say in silence, God rests in reason. And when the storm comes, and the mighty wind shakes the forest, and thunder and lightning proclaim the majesty of the sky, then let your heart say in awe, God moves in passion. Would that I could be the peacemaker in your soul, that I might turn the discord and the rivalry of your elements into oneness and melody. Verily the lust for comfort murders the passion of the soul, and then walks grinning in the funeral. Rest in reason. Move in passion. God created music as a common language for all men. It inspires the poets, the composers, and the architects. It lures us to search our souls for the meaning of the mysteries described in ancient books. You are good when you strive to give of yourself. Yet you are not evil when you seek gain for yourself. For when you strive for gain you are but a root that clings to the earth and sucks at her breast. Surely the fruit cannot say to the root, be like me, ripe and full and ever giving of your abundance. For to the fruit giving is a need as receiving is a need to the root. He alone is great who turns the voice of the wind into a song made sweeter by his own loving. And let your best be for your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know its flood also. For what is your friend that you should seek with him hours to kill? Seek with him always hours to live. For it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter, and the sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. He who understands you is greater kin to you than your own brother. For even your own kindred neither understand you nor know your true worth. Perplexity is the beginning of knowledge. Trees are poems the earth writes upon the sky, we fell them down and turn them into paper, that we may record our emptiness. When you part from your friend, you grieve not, for that which you love most in him may be clearer in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plain. Vague and nebulous is the beginning of all things, but not their end. There are those who give and know not pain in giving, nor do they seek joy, nor give with mindfulness of virtue. They give as in yonder valley the myrtle breathes its fragrance into space. A thief is a man in need. A liar is a man in fear. Forgetfulness is a form of freedom. Love is not without its flaws. The stronger the love, the more it tests you. Compassion and empathy will make true love persist. Beauty is that which attracts your soul, and that which loves to give and not to receive. The giving and receiving of pleasure is a need and an ecstasy. The optimist sees the rose and not its thorns, the pessimist stares at the thorns, oblivious to the rose. A root is a flower that disdains fame. If you sing of beauty though alone in the heart of the desert you will have an audience. Strange, the desire for certain pleasures is a part of my pain. When your friend speaks his mind you fear not that nay, in your own mind, nor do you withhold the I. And when he is silent your heart ceases not to listen to his heart, for without words, in friendship, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared, with joy that is unacclaimed. When you part from your friend, you grieve not, for that which you love most in him may be clearer in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plain. Love that does not renew itself every day becomes a habit and in turn a slavery. We are all prisoners, but some of us are in cells with windows and some without. I am one of those who believe that spiritual progress is a rule of human life, but the approach to perfection is slow and painful. If a woman elevates herself in one respect and is retarded in another, it is because the rough trail that leads to the mountain peak is not free of ambushes of thieves and lairs of wolves. Tenderness and kindness are not signs of weakness and despair, but manifestations of strength and resolution. Your joy can fill you only as deeply as your sorrow has carved you. You often say, "I would give, but only to the deserving." The trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. They give that they may live, for to withhold is to perish. The first glance from the eyes of the beloved is like the Spirit that moved upon the face of the waters, giving birth to heaven and earth. In the depths of your hopes and desires lies your silent knowledge of the beyond, and like seeds dreaming beneath the snow, your heart dreams of spring. Trust the dreams, for in them is hidden the gate to eternity. Truth is like the stars, it does not appear except from behind obscurity of the night. Truth is like all beautiful things in the world, it does not disclose its desirability except to those who first feel the influence of falsehood. Truth is a deep kindness that teaches us to be content in our everyday life and share with the people the same happiness. Trees are poems that the earth writes upon the sky. Let passion fill your sails, but let reason be your rudder. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You see but your shadow when you turn your back to the sun. Wisdom is not in words, wisdom is meaning within words. There is a desire deep within the soul which drives man from the seen to the unseen, to philosophy and to the divine. Spare me the political events and power struggles, as the whole earth is my homeland and all men are my fellow countrymen. He who does not see the kingdom of heaven in this life will never see it in the coming life. God listens not to your words save when He Himself utters them through your lips. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Even as the stone of the fruit must break, that its heart may stand in the sun, so must you know pain. I would not exchange the laughter of my heart for the fortunes of the multitudes. Joy and sorrow are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Your friend is your needs answered. The bird has an honor that man does not have. Man lives in the traps of his abdicated laws and traditions, but the birds live according to the natural law of God who causes the earth to turn around the sun. From a sensitive woman's heart springs the happiness of mankind, and from the kindness of her noble spirit comes mankind's affection. Let me, oh let me bathe my soul in colors, let me swallow the sunset and drink the rainbow. The lust for comfort kills the passions of the soul. Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? I am ignorant of absolute truth, but I am humble before my ignorance, and therein lies my honor and my reward. I have pondered long, and I know now that only the pure of heart forgive the thirst that leads to dead waters, and only the sure of foot can give a hand to him who stumbles. Beauty is not in the face, beauty is a light in the heart. You shall be free indeed when your days are not without a care, nor your nights without a want and a grief, but rather when these things girdle your life and yet you rise above them naked and unbound. Half of what I say is meaningless, but I say it so that the other half may reach you. The tiny flame that lights up the human heart is like a blazing torch that comes down from heaven to light up the paths of mankind. For in one soul are contained the hopes and feelings of all mankind. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping. For only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. Man struggles to find life outside himself, unaware that the life he is seeking is within him. Said one oyster to a neighboring oyster, I have a very great pain within me. It is heavy and round and I am in distress. And the other oyster replied with haughty complacence, Praise be to the heavens and to the sea, I have no pain within me. I am well and whole both within and without. At that moment a crab was passing by and heard the two oysters, and he said to the one who was well and whole both within and without, Yes, you are well and whole, but the pain that your neighbor bears is a pearl of exceeding beauty. Be like the flower, turn your faces to the sun. Hell is not in torture, hell is in an empty heart. When you reach the end of what you should know, you will be at the beginning of what you should sense. All you have shall someday be given. Therefore give now, that the season of giving may be yours and not your inheritors. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. To belittle, you have to be little. And if there come the singers, and the dancers and the flute players, buy of their gifts also. For they too are gatherers of fruit and frankincense, and that which they bring, though fashioned of dreams, is raiment and fod for your soul. You talk when you cease to be at peace with your thoughts. They deem me mad because I will not sell my days for gold, and I deem them mad because they think my days have a price. Work is love made visible. And now you ask in your heart, how shall we distinguish that which is good and pleasure from that which is not good? Go to your fields and your gardens, and you shall learn that it is the pleasure of the bee to gather honey of the flower, but it is also the pleasure of the flower to yield its honey to the bee. For to the bee a flower is a fountain of life, and to the flower a bee is a messenger of love, and to both, bee and flower, the giving and the receiving of pleasure is a need and an ecstasy. People of Orphalese, be in your pleasures like the flowers and the bees. A man's true wealth is the good he does in the world. How distant I am from people when I am with them, and how close when they are far away. In one drop of water are found all the secrets of all the oceans, in one aspect of you are found all the aspects of existence. Tears have cleansed my eyes, and errors have taught me the language of the hearts. When you reach the heart of life you shall find beauty in all things, even in the eyes that are blind to beauty. It is wrong to think that love comes from long companionship and persevering courtship. Love is the offspring of spiritual affinity, and unless that affinity is created in a moment, it will not be created for years or even generations. I do not want you to hear that I love you, but I want you to feel it without me having to say. Between what is said and not meant, and what is meant and not said, most of love is lost. Keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life. When I planted my pain in the field of patience, it bore fruit of happiness. Marriage is the union of two divinities that a third might be born on earth. It is the union of two souls in a strong love for the abolishment of separateness. It is that higher unity which fuses the separate unities within the two spirits. It is the golden ring in a chain whose beginning is a glance, and whose ending is eternity. It is the pure rain that falls from an unblemished sky to fructify and bless the fields of divine nature. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. It is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. Therefore, trust the physician and drink his remedy in silence and tranquility. Your confidence in the people, and your doubt about them, are closely related to your self-confidence and your self-doubt. God made the world with a heart full of love, then He looked down from heaven above, and saw that we all need a helping hand, someone to share with, who'll understand. He made special people to see us through the glad times and the sad times, too, a person on whom we can always depend, someone we can call a friend. God made friends so we'll carry a part of His perfect love in all our hearts. It takes a minute to have a crush on someone, an hour to like someone, and a day to love someone, but it takes a lifetime to forget someone. The reality of the other person is not in what he reveals to you, but in what he cannot reveal to you. Therefore, if you would understand him, listen not to what he says but rather to what he does not say. Music is the language of the Spirit. It opens the secret of life, bringing peace, abolishing strife. The universe is my country and the human family is my tribe. Our anxiety does not come from thinking about the future, but from wanting to control it. There must be something strangely sacred about salt. It is in our tears and in the sea. You may forget with whom you laughed, but you will never forget with whom you wept. How beautiful to find a heart that loves you, without asking you for anything, but to be okay. But if you love and must needs have desires, let these be your desires, to melt and be like a running brook that sings its melody to the night, to know the pain of too much tenderness, to be wounded by your own understanding of love, and to bleed willingly and joyfully, to wake at dawn with a winged heart and give thanks for another day of loving, to rest at noon hour and meditate love's ecstasy, to return home at eventide with gratitude, and then to sleep with a prayer for the beloved in your heart and a song of praise on your lips. The nearest to my heart are a king without a kingdom and a poor man who does not know how to beg. And God said, "Love your enemy," I obeyed him, loved myself. If I accept the sunshine and warmth, then I must also accept the thunder and lightning. The best of man is he who blushes and you praise him and remains silent when you defame him. Jesus was not sent here to teach the people to build magnificent churches and temples amidst the cold, wretched huts and dismal hovels. He came to make the human heart a temple, and the soul an altar, and the mind a priest. That deepest thing, that recognition, that knowledge, that sense of kinship began the first time I saw you, and it is the same now, only 1,000 times deeper and tenderer. I shall love you to eternity. I loved you long before we met in this flesh. I knew that when I first saw you. It was destiny. We are together like this and nothing can shake us apart. If I could take your troubles I would toss them into the sea, but all these things I'm finding are impossible for me. I cannot build a mountain or catch a rainbow fair, but let me be what I know best, a friend that is always there. One day you will ask me which is more important, my life or yours. I will say mine and you will walk away not knowing that you are my life.